This is Hinchusatsu, and to end this year, I will review the one and only influential movie that started it all, Ishiro Honda's Gojira. Released 9 years after Japan's crushing defeat at the end of World War II, Honda instills his dark experience during the war, and especially the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. With the help of producer Tomoyuki Tanaka, special effects director Eiji Tsuburaya, music composer Akira Ifukube, and novelist Shigeru Kayama, to bring to us a movie that demonstrates that it's more than just special effects spectacle, but a cerebral and thought-provoking message that matters more today than it was back then. A series of fishing vessels and other ships get destroyed under mysterious circumstances, in the form of a bright white light from the depths. It stirs a great panic with the citizens, and the mystery becomes clear when a devastating attack on a village during a storm threat on Oto Island was caused by an enormous dinosaur that the superstitious villagers dub Gojira. The monster's appearance revealed. Several political parties debate to whether to reveal Godzilla to the public or keep silent without striking a political upheaval, while the military wants to kill Godzilla. Until Godzilla's fatal landfall on Tokyo leads to the city crushed and a lot of lives lost, or traumatized, result in a much more grave turn, as a pair of lovers, Ogata and Emiko, the daughter of Dr. Yamane, intertwined in a love triangle, persuade the recluse scientist Dr. Serizawa to help stop Godzilla's threat on the world, with a device that would spell greater trouble for all mankind. The story is properly structured and demonstrates how to use these real-life elements when conveying the gloomy and haunting atmosphere of the movie's tone. Scenes throughout the movie alludes to the events from the past decade before. The opening attack on the boat echoes the Lucky Dragon No. 5 incident, when the boat wandered too close to the radiation cloud during the hydrogen bomb testing between the US and the Soviet Union on March 1st, 1954, which led to the several men succumbing to radiation sickness and the death of one man, and also stirring a tuna boycott affecting the fish market just as Japan's citizens had their mental wounds healed. Godzilla's destruction on Tokyo is a particularly eerie example from the napalm firebombs before the Hiroshima and Nagasaki aftermath, resulting in its metaphor coming full circle. Yet regardless, Godzilla is more than just about the warning and misuse of nuclear arms. It also addresses man's nightmarish future on excellent discoveries on all technology that comes with grim implications. In terms of the duality of technology, they can benefit our lives, but can also unleash horror when handled in the wrong hands, such as Serizawa's latest device, the Oxygen Destroyer, a device that splits oxygen molecules and breaks them down, choking all organisms and dissolves them into liquid matter, killing them. He fears that once his secrets are revealed to the public, scientists and politicians could wield its power and mass-produce it for all military forces. How terrifying is that? To drop these destroyers in enemy territory where there's water, or God forbid, on innocent people in the middle of a city. And that fact ties with Godzilla himself. Arguably the metaphor of the atomic bomb, Godzilla operates on a mindless level, like any form of weaponry. They don't discriminate. They just kill all. Man, woman, and child are never safe from his wrath. As one of Toho's young up-and-coming actors, Akira Takarada, a Southern Sea Salvage employee, Hideo Ogata, at first appears underdeveloped, but he does serve his purpose when he and Emiko share screen time, as their love story takes center stage at the end with Godzilla's attacks and great scarring reaches a breaking point, leading to betrayal, enlightenment, and redemption to appeals to Serizawa's humanity. The same for Momoko Kochi as Emiko Yamane, serving a key part in the film. She goes far as revealing Ogata Serizawa's secret despite his warnings for the sake of humanity's chance for a better future. The choices she makes carry thematic weight by the end, after Serizawa's sacrifice. With no conflict around the trio of characters due to the unfolding events in the story, her chance to be together with Ogata carries amnesty for Serizawa because her desperate actions to save lives led to his death. Serizawa carries on his last action, with Ogata's help so they can be happy together. Played by Takashi Kimura, Dr. Kyohei Yamane brings a sympathetic angle to Godzilla. He doesn't hate Godzilla like everybody. He's instead fascinated by his resilience to the bomb's hazardous effects. Yamane's intrigue as a paleontologist almost puts him to tears when he laments about humanity's decision to kill the monster, when in fact he's seen in the doctor's eyes as something to study, to see how he can't die from radiation poisoning, so by preserving Godzilla, he in a sense could save lives. The appearance of Yamane will also see to it an influence of a reoccurring human archetype with these movies, which has their human characters viewing Godzilla and a few other kaiju in different angles seeing Godzilla who he really is. Shinkichi Yamane, an Oto Islander adopted by Dr. Yamane, doesn't have anything significant in the film. He appears to represent the many children orphaned after losing their parents from the bombings, giving it a sense of a grim believability to his betrayal in the scene where he breaks down after he lost his older brother and mother during Godzilla's attack in a storm on Oto Island. His role in the 1955 novelization by, again, Shigeru Kayama is more expanded to make him the main protagonist, which I really like since he has more dimension than his movie counterpart. He even lashes out at Yamane about his obsession for Godzilla and how he would feel if Emiko is killed by Godzilla. While nothing more is done for Shinkichi, it is eventually revealed through mention in Godzilla vs. Destroya in 1995 to pursue a career for science and passed away before the events of the film. For one of the most famous human characters in the series, Daisuke Serizawa may appear as a mysterious mad scientist, but we see he has semblance of humanity, being humble and being engaged to Emiko. But the movie unravels, and we learn of the eternal turmoil and tragedy of a man who runs a thin line in his greatest discovery in the field of science that brings potential nightmares to the world that could lead into another arms race. It has been assumed that during his time in the war, he collaborated in creating deadly weapons to support Germany. The aftermath of Godzilla's rampage reaches a crescendo that leads to Emiko telling Ogata the truth of the Oxygen Destroyer, and Serizawa spells the ultimate reality of what awaits in store. Scientists research on and mass-produce the Oxygen Destroyer, and government authorities will have them use it for warfare, serving as a contemplation on Honda's message to end arm races. This is what sets Serizawa apart from Oppenheimer, who is optimistic for the potential of the atomic bomb being a force of good. His wording for the Oxygen Destroyer makes him as the spokesperson for the movie's theme, in hopes that many good people show real sanity. The same for his last action. He initially refused to help his fellow man, but after being moved by a melancholy and beautiful choir singing out of a song of prayer on TV, Serizawa agrees to have the Oxygen Destroyer used against Godzilla only one time, and he does so by burning all his notes of his information of the Oxygen Destroyer, so no one will learn about its secrets, figuratively ending himself in front of Ogata and an emotionally broken Emiko. The very monster that impacted the Japanese film industry, along with the entire world and defining a generation of cinematic superstars. Godzilla is the ultimate embodiment of what happens if scientific ambitions clash with the wrath of nature that leads to catastrophic dangers. Godzilla is conceptualized as a natural disaster and the offspring of the bomb, who appears in the form of an amphibious dinosaur and purposely attacks and ends all life out of vengeance, with his destruction carrying out a reminder of hopelessness when people can't learn what not to do to the world. As far as the origins are concerned, Godzilla is indistinct. Dr. Yamane theorized that Godzilla came from the Jurassic period, depicted as an intermediate animal between aquatic to terrestrial life that survived the mass extinction and thrived during the modern period in the sea before being irradiated and enraged by ongoing nuclear tests at the Bikini Atoll. While Oto Islanders believe him to be a creature shrouded in mysticism and a great deity that comes ashore oftentimes to feast on a sacrifice of a virgin as their tradition, when there is less fish to feed on. But it all comes down to just speculation, and that gives Godzilla a real ambience of mystery. The choices made to give layers to Godzilla are meticulously put into place. What makes the original Big G unique, apart from most of the other variations of the character, is that he is a stand-in for North America. And yet Honda doesn't specifically put any citation on the country, but still puts the blame to war. Ishiro Honda omits any mention of the real-life events, including the Licky Dragon boat, nor a shot of the atomic bomb creating Godzilla, and it would lead to an uproar with sensitive minds. Even the beady eyes on his face at first might appear ridiculously googly for most, but it conveys an unnerving quality, with the actual stationary pupils appearing to look down on you, showing Godzilla's thoughtless malice. This is a Godzilla that visually complements the narrative in his nature, and the literal last thing a person sees before their fate is sealed. Despite it all, Godzilla is still a victim, not just humanity. Coincidentally or not, the small linear bumps for his scales appear to eerily similar to Hibakusha, and appears to show signs of vulnerability at the end of the film too. The effects are groundbreaking today as they are back then. Eiji Tsuburaya was first astounded by the revolutionary stop-motion effects to King Kong that he dreams to bring Godzilla to life, but faced with the unfortunate truth that not a single company in Japan is aware of this craft, nor have the money to afford the use. And even if there is, it would be too time-consuming. So the decision is made for Tsuburaya to animate Godzilla through suitmation, a grueling but effectively revolutionary style that became a grand tradition for the passing decades to come. Miniature buildings and model vehicles are constructed carefully, provided by photography on real-life buildings at the time, and accurately built to resemble the architecture, specifically to destroy on camera, along with matte painting shots. So many of these shots are wondrous to the eye in its punctual detailing that lends itself to subtle, if not impactful, visualizations. The making of the Godzilla suit took a lot of thought to give us a beast that encompasses nuclear war. Early in development, Godzilla was envisioned as a giant octopus, next a nightmarishly creepy primate-esque abomination with a head in the shape of a mushroom cloud that shies away from the intentional dinosaur approach. But Akira Watanabe, Toho's art director, sketched out a hodgepodge of different dinosaurs, such as the carnivorous face of a Tyrannosaurus rex, the upright posture of an iguanodon, and the plates of the Stegosaurus, taken from children's dinosaur encyclopedias and several museum artwork of dinosaurs. Not wanting to make Godzilla's roar from all too familiar animal sound effects, music composer Akira Ifukube, who created the most iconic scores from Toho's special effects films from 1954 to 1995, contribute to the monster's legacy by not just creating the monster's iconic theme, but his roar, which was created from taking a leather glove and rubbed on a loosened up strings of a cello before manipulating the sounds in different speeds before it's found. The results are epic. Despite being one of the few movies in 1954 that had financial risks and slammed negatively by Japanese film critics, Godzilla immediately became a major success throughout Japan, earning over 183 million yen. In US currency, that would be $510,000, at the box office, and even having a special screening at American-based art house theaters in the early 50s, along with a slew of other award-winning Japanese films. But more so, it changed the Japanese film industry forever, as kaiju and other special effects-driven films became a major trend for all film companies, either coming up with fresh new fantastical ideas, or banking on its success. Try as they may, but as thought-provoking these films are, it's the original that always stands a testament of its phenomenon. Godzilla's death at the end is less triumphant and more tragic, and Serizawa's sacrifice is more bittersweet, preaching out that good men can shed light and give us a chance to redeem ourselves without repeating the horror. Godzilla is a true statement against war and nuclear power that makes you wonder, is there humanity? Will we become monsters? Can we learn to wield that power correctly so that lives won't be lost? Very good movie. Where's the beef?